G'day explorers, time to grab your colouring and pencils and let's learn about water in the Earth's spheres. In particular, we're looking at how much water is there actually available on Earth and whereabouts is it? So this is your vocabulary for the lesson. If we just get you to pause the video here and write this down, you'll have something to refer back to as we move through the lesson. Alright, let's go. So, when we talk about the geographical spheres of the Earth, we're talking about the many different areas where things can exist, depending on which sphere it is, right? And water is present in all of them in different ways. For example, we have the hydrosphere. They're represented over this side and this side. The hydrosphere is all of the surface water on Earth. It's all the water we see, and some of the water that floats up into the atmosphere. And that hydrosphere is obviously where we would think the majority of the water is. But we also have the atmosphere. Now, the atmosphere is where all our clouds are, right? It's the air above the Earth. And because there are clouds there, and water vapor in general, that means there's water also present in the atmosphere. We also have the biosphere. This is where all the living stuff is. In fact, some geographers and scientists refer to the biosphere as just the living things, right? So it is the living things. And you, me, and every other explorer out there, whether they be a bilby or a crocodile or a bacteria, or a plant, is majority water, right? Like water is a really, generally, a really common part. In fact, we could say quite easily that everywhere in the universe that we've been to that has liquid water has life. We also have the cryosphere. The cryosphere is all the frozen icy parts, right? And given that it's ice is just dry water. That's a weird way to think about it, isn't it? It's just dry water. So wherever there is ice, that's H2O, that's water, dry water. Therefore, the cryosphere is full of water. But the one that a lot of us, we've got two words here. We've got geosphere or lithosphere. I prefer the term lithosphere. Litho means rock, sphere means ball, so it's the rock sphere. We have water in there as well, and we see that water percolates through, particularly the rocks at the surface, percolates through there and into, up through there, down through there, into the groundwater. So we've got water in the lithosphere or geosphere as well. So where is all that water? We've got our nice little picture here, and let's sort of break it down, right? So 71% of the Earth is covered with water. That's all of the oceans, rivers, and stuff like that, right? Now, 97% of the water on Earth is salt water. That means it's got sodium chloride in it. There's other salts like magnesium chloride and stuff like that, but it's got salty water. If that's 97%, and that's a measurement that moves up and down, like NASA has it down at 96.5, other sources has it at 97.5, 97 is a good middle there. That leaves 3% of the water is fresh water. Now, that fresh water is present in the biosphere, the hydrosphere, the lithosphere, and the cryosphere. So 79% of that water, that fresh water, okay, so we're 3%, 79% of that 3%, fractions getting smaller and smaller, is locked up in ice. And 20% of that is in groundwater. Now, in Australia, we actually make good use of groundwater, but it's not easy to get to. So that leaves us with 1%. 1% of that 3%, so 0.03% of all of the water on Earth is fresh water. So it's water that we can use for drinking and stuff like that. That is the water which is in rivers, lakes, and so forth. That is 1% of that remaining 3%. So that is such a small fraction of the available water. All right, so let's have a look at this image here, world's water, and let's look at the geographical tools. This is a really interesting image. So here we have a ball that is the Earth, and here we have another ball sitting on top of it that is all of the liquid fresh water on Earth. Now remember we said 1% of that? That's all of the water on Earth right there. This one here, this little teeny tiny one, because I've missed this even micro one, this teeny tiny one here is all of the fresh water on Earth, and that's rough size. And this one here is the fresh water in lakes and rivers. That's the stuff that's easy to get to. So let's look as explorers and geographers what our tools are. So here we have a visual representation of the amount of water. We've used maps, maybe. I don't know if you'd call this a map. I don't know. It is a map. It's a globe. And spatial technologies, right? So here we have, interacting with the real world. And these two maps and spatial technologies and statistics have come together to make a visual representation. So this tool overall is a visual representation, but we've used the other tools to build it up. So that's us, again, looking at our geographical tools and how we sort of explain our ideas. All right, I hope that made a lot of sense. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. We'll get back to you as quick as we can. Don't forget to subscribe so you can keep what we're doing. And yeah, keep exploring.